I quit organizing. The bins, the charts, the color-coded calendars, gone. And the crazy part, that's when my life finally felt organized. It sounds backwards, doesn't it? But if you have ever been drained by your own systems, if you've ever tried every planner and still felt behind, you know the feeling. So let me show you what actually worked for me, because it wasn't what I was expecting. Today I'm going to share the 6 habits that finally organized my life. Not on paper, but in reality. Two very different things. These are the habits that got me out of survival mode. The ones that actually brought peace to my brain and flow into my home and margin back into my day. No planners, no Pinterest boards, no rigid routines, just mindset shifts and practical rhythms that actually worked in my real life. It is so sad that so many moms out there are thinking that they are the problem, when really they've just been taught the wrong definition of organized. We think it means staying on top of everything. But I have learned that it actually means knowing what matters and building a life that reflects that. And just so you know, I'm not just saying this because I read it in some book. I'm saying it because I lived it. If we haven't met yet, I'm Cassie. I'm a certified life coach. I'm also a mom of 3 kids. I stay at home with them. I have for the last 13 years. And for a lot of those years, I was convinced that if I could just find the right system, I would finally feel on top of things, right? Even as a naturally organized person that I was, I could always still find a way to nitpick how I wasn't organized enough. No matter how many routines I printed or different chore charts I made, I was still overwhelmed. I was still burnt out, and I was still blaming myself for not being enough. It wasn't until I became a life coach and really dug into mindset work and started rebuilding my life around what actually matters, which are faith and identity and alignment, that everything changed. The moment that I stopped obsessing over what my house looked like and actually started paying attention to how I felt inside of the house, that's when everything changed. So now I teach other moms how to do the same in my program, Mother Like You. But this video, I am just giving you a peek behind the curtain so that you can see exactly what shifted for me and maybe, hopefully, find your own starting point in your own home. First habit, I started planning like the boss. If you don't lead your day will lead you, usually straight into burnout. I used to wake up every single morning feeling already behind, like I had to just sprint the second that my feet hit the floor. Diapers, dishes, messes from last night. No plan, just panic. And if I did make a plan, I didn't trust myself to follow through. I would say, oh, I'll clean during nap time, but then the baby wouldn't nap, or I would get distracted, or let's be real, I'd get sucked into scrolling my phone when I was just checking one little thing. And every time that happened, I told myself the exact same thing. You just need to be more disciplined. You just need to try harder. You just need to wake up earlier. You just need to get it together. Have you ever felt like no matter how much you write down, the day still gets away from you? That was me. And the truth is, I wasn't lazy. I was working so hard, but I was living like an exhausted intern, just waiting for someone else to tell me what to do. Maybe it was the whiny kid, or the text coming through, or the floor that was suddenly dirty. I was waiting for that to tell me what to do instead of being the boss of my own day. Everything changed when I started planning like the boss. The boss makes decisions ahead of time. The boss trusts those decisions. She does not wait around for motivation. She does not second guess every move she makes. She sets the priorities and shows up to follow through with those. I really started looking at my days so differently. What would it look like if I took my own role seriously? What if I actually acted on the plan that I made the night before like it mattered? And now I treat my plan like that, a Sharpie decision, not a Post-it note that I can guilt myself out of. And when things do go off track, which happens, I adjust without spiraling because I'm not reacting anymore. I'm leading. Planning like the boss helped me get very clear on what mattered. But I still needed a way to live it out without relying on rigid schedules that maybe fall apart, right? When life actually does happen. So that's when I stopped chasing routines and actually started building rhythms instead. So that's the second habit. Let go of the routines. Routines feel like prison, whereas rhythms feel like peace because routines break the second real life happens, but rhythms bend and flow with you. So I used to make these beautiful schedules, like wake up at 6 a.m., study the scriptures, do my personal prayers, maybe exercise. The kids will wake up at this time. Maybe I'd throw in some push ups at the bedside before all that, right? Get started on breakfast before the kids wake up. Be ready to homeschool by 9 a.m. I would fit in all the good things into the good time slot, make it all look good on paper, and then after a few days, my kids would be coming into my room at 7:12, and oh my gosh, I just blew it. As much of a morning person as I was, those tasks were not enough motivation to deprive myself of an extra hour of sleep. So I would shift to the afternoon, deciding that I would clean this certain space, all in rotation, of course, and prep the dinner early at this certain time or read the 20 minutes with this certain child. But then someone else needed me, or someone spilled something, someone was melting down. There's always something, right? And suddenly I was angry, mostly at myself, because I couldn't stick to it. I'm sure you have felt like that. Like every routine you try ends up making you feel worse about yourself instead of better. So here's the thing, I wasn't failing the routine was failing me. So I stopped forcing a schedule. I stopped the routines and just started creating rhythms. Not an hour by hour breakdown, but just gentle patterns that could adjust as the daily needs arise. We tidy up after lunch before quiet time. That's a rhythm. I reset the house with my kids before dinner. That's a rhythm. I put the kitchen to bed sometime after dinner. That's a rhythm, right? They're not specific times, they're not perfect, but it is peaceful because it fits. And when something throws it off, we just pick it back up tomorrow. But even with the flexible rhythms, I was still trying to hold the whole day in my head. Like if I didn't manage every single moment, everything would fall apart. So next, I stopped trying to control the whole day and just started anchoring just a few moments that really mattered. So that would be habit number 3 for you. Clear, anchored moments. You don't need to control the whole day. You just need a few minutes that just kind of hold you together and keep you grounded. So I used to feel like I had to win the whole day by 9 a.m. If I didn't wake up early or do this or that or make a real breakfast or unload the dishwasher, start the laundry, this whole list of things, then I failed. If it was 9:30 and I hadn't gotten to all of that, I failed. And so then I would spiral and I would think, well, today's already shot, right? I already messed it up. And once that thought hit, sometimes I would give up on the whole rest of the day completely. My all or nothing brain would just lose momentum. And I would feel guilty, maybe scroll, eat some random snacks, or try to ignore the mess. Tell myself that I'll just try again tomorrow. Maybe I'll get it perfect tomorrow. But then I'd always panic clean at like 4:30 before everyone gets home, right? And I'm just dreading the next day. The worst part of all of that was I kept thinking that if I could just organize better, right? Then I wouldn't be losing my entire day by mid-morning. But I wasn't losing the day because I wasn't trying. I was trying. I was trying. I was losing it because I thought that if I couldn't do everything right, there just was no point in doing anything at all. Tell me if I'm the only one. Maybe I'm the only one. But have you ever had that happen? Like the second your day goes off track, it's just game over. So what changed everything for me was creating anchor moments. Not routines or schedules, just 2 or 3 touch points in my day that gave me something to come back to, even when everything else kind of went sideways. So I would kind of think of it like this. I can't control the whole ocean, right? But I can drop an anchor and keep myself where I need to be. So I have a few anchors. A nice breakfast to myself while I read my scriptures. That's how I have incorporated scripture reading into my day. My kids are in school right now. I used to homeschool, but they're in school right now. It's a big rush getting everyone out the door. And then I have a little moment to myself. I have a certain breakfast that I always eat. I sit down with my scriptures and I just eat in peace for just a few minutes, and it's amazing. Another one of these anchors in my day is quiet time, to just take a breath, have some time to myself. Whether my kids are home or not, it doesn't matter. This quiet time happens every single day for me to ground me, to anchor me, and it helps the rest of my day go so much better. The last one I'll share is my wind down in the evening. I shower, I listen to some calm music, I get ready for bed, just some self-care for me. So even if the whole rest of my day is chaos, I feel restored and like myself because of these anchors. Creating anchors gives me peace, even in the middle of whatever the day brought. But I was still trying to cram everything into every day, let's be honest. So next I really had to learn to stop glorifying long to-do lists and start focusing on just one real priority. So that's what I want you to do. Set one priority every day. You might think this is madness, but seriously, it is the key to success. When everything feels urgent, nothing actually gets done except for stress. There was a time when I would sit down and get organized, and I would just end up writing a massive to-do list that was basically a confession of everything I was behind on. Laundry, floors, meal prep, homeschool plans, that random dirty spot on the floor that I just kind of kept wishing wasn't there. And of course, don't forget, like, declutter the basement, as if I was going to just knock that out between, diaper changes or snacks. I was very ambitious, and every night, throughout the week, I would look at that list and just feel like I failed because I didn't do enough, that it was never enough. Even if I did 10 things, I'd only see the 5 that I didn't do. It's really easy to get sucked into this pattern where you're busy all day, but you can't really point to anything you actually completed. That is mom life for you. But here's the truth. I didn't need to do more. I just needed to decide what mattered most. And now, I still sit down and get organized. My husband and I have a planning session every single Sunday, bookended by a makeout session, of course. He hates planning, and so that was his request. And after that planning meeting is over, where we put down all the appointments and all of the things that actually have to happen at certain times in the week, then I fill in the meals for each day and I set one priority to do for each day for me. And that's it. One thing that once I finish, I can say I did it. I showed up on purpose today. Sometimes that is a cleaning task, sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's doing something for one of my kids. The best part is choosing one thing helps my brain calm down. I have to tell my brain to calm down, to stop jumping between all of these half-finished tasks. I finish the one thing that I actually started and I get a huge boost of confidence. This habit gave me so much clarity and permission to just stop overloading myself. But even with that one priority, I still had this impossible standard of what my home should look like. So next I had to do something that felt a little rebellious at first. I lowered the bar on purpose. That's the next habit. Lower the bar for your house. You cannot build a peaceful home when your standard is perfection, because people actually live there. And when your schedule is survival, it's just never gonna work. There was a season when I thought that a clean house meant that I was doing a good job as a mom, naturally. A lot of us think that. If the floors were sticky or the dishes were piled up, I would immediately feel ashamed, like I was failing. And not just at homemaking, but as a person. And so I kept setting these ridiculous standards for myself. I wanted the house clean before the kids woke up. I wanted it to stay clean while they played, and somehow basically just look like no one lived there. That would be really nice, even though 5 people definitely did live there. And the thing is, I could almost pull it off, but only by constantly micromanaging, or by staying up late, or by spiraling every time someone dumped out the Legos. Have you ever noticed that no matter how much you clean, it just never feels like enough because deep down, you've tied your worth to the state of your home? I realized after so many years of living that way, like, why am I even working so hard to keep the house looking perfect when no one here even feels peaceful? It was a very humbling realization and honestly a very heartbreaking realization. And so I lowered the bar, not because I gave up, but because I finally realized peace isn't about everything looking right. It's about everything feeling right. And now, sometimes there are dishes in the sink overnight. Every once in a while that happens. Sometimes there's a doorknob that stays sticky until tomorrow. But the atmosphere is just calmer because I'm calmer. Lowering the bar didn't mean I stopped caring. It just meant that I stopped treating a spotless house like it was my report card. Letting go of perfection just gave me some margin. But what made the biggest difference, the habit that pulled everything together, was finally letting go of who I thought I should be and embracing the way that God actually made me. So the last habit is honoring your God given strengths. You can't organize your life by copying someone else's way of living. For years, I thought that was the answer. I thought being organized meant doing things like her, the mom with the labeled bins, or the one who did freezer meals for the entire month, and yet didn't feel frazzled. Like, how does that even work? Or maybe the one whose kids had perfect outfits and hair every single day. So I tried to keep up. It was this like competition. I printed the routines, I meal prepped with a vengeance, I bought the bins, and I burned out. Shocker. I burned out because deep down, I was trying to live someone else's version of motherhood in a life that God designed for me. Like, it was a different life, and yet I was trying to copy someone else's. And then when I couldn't keep up, I didn't question the method, I questioned myself. Have you ever felt like that? Like, no matter how hard you try, you're just always behind because deep down you're trying to live like a mom that you were never meant to be. Everything changed, truly changed, when I stopped asking what's wrong with me and started asking what's right with me that I've been ignoring. And now I know I'm not the mom who thrives on constant connection with her kids or on a lot of noise. Like, I'm an introvert. I need space and quiet and margin, and that's when I can enjoy my kids. And I don't need them to fit into a certain mold or look a certain way. I just want them to grow into themselves. I care more about who they're becoming than what they look like. And when I started building a home that actually honored that, just my natural tendencies and personality, my strengths, their personalities, our real season where we lived, all of the factors, everything felt so much lighter. I stopped managing motherhood like this performance and really started living it like the sacred, personal, unrepeatable thing that it is. Those habits finally organized my life, not by giving me one more thing to control, but by helping me let go of what was never mine to carry. Organizing my life around the way that God actually wired me, that's where the real peace started for me. It wasn't finding a perfect system or fighting against my personality, but actually finding what fit me so that I didn't have to force it anymore. If this speaks to you, grab my free ebook, get on my email list. I have got a free masterclass that's coming soon. It really takes a deep dive into how I finally found confidence as a mom without doing more or being someone else. That confidence is available to every single one of you, regardless of what quirks or defects that you're sure that you have. I know God made you the way He did on purpose. All you need to do is tap into the real you, and I can definitely teach you how to do that. You are amazing, and I'll see you soon.